Hello everybody, Calvin here, and today we're going to do a little bit of subnetting. Now, when it comes to subnetting, if you are studying for your CCNA, we all know that the subnetting is a major part in the CCNA, especially the CCNT, which is the first part of your Cisco CCNA if you're sitting it in two parts. So you are going to need to know subnetting. Now with me, I was never really good at maths, or should I say I shied away from maths until I started studying for my Cisco, which is when I realised that you need it really. So I had to backtrack and kind of go over things again so that I could get the hang of subnetting and VLSM, etc. So today I just want to run through the method which I use to help me subnet, which should come in handy for CCNA exams and just general knowledge so that you do know your subnetting. Now this is going to be quite brief. I might do another video touching a little bit deeper on the subject of subnetting, but we'll see how this goes first and we'll see what sort of response I get from this video. So basically what we're going to start off with is this is across the top here, what you can see is a load of numbers, and to cut a long story short, we have with IP addresses, as you can see one here, you have the first octet, which is this, then you have the second octet, third octet, then fourth octet with IPv4 addresses. Now, as we all know, binary is how the computer reads the IP addresses, and this is how we're going to use it to subnet as well. So across this top section here, you can see where this dot ends. That's the fourth octet of hosts. Now this is the fourth octet, as I've just said, which can have a maximum of 256 hosts, minus 2, one for the broadcast and one for the zero subnet, which is the first address in the address. So for instance, 220.100.100.0, that 0 is not assignable, so the assignable range would be 1 to, say, if it were /24, 255 instead of 256. So yeah, we've got the fourth octet here, then I've done the third octet, and these numbers are going up. It works in 2 to the power, so 2 to the power of 2 is 4, 2 to the power of 4 is 8, 2 to the power of 8 is 16, and so forth, all the way up. You've got the fourth octet, third octet, the second octet, which we haven't done because we're not going to be covering class B addresses today, and obviously you got the first octet as well. So we're just going to keep it nice and simple. Like I said, I'm not going to try to confuse you too much, especially if it's your first time looking at this, but the more you get used to it, the easier it becomes. It just takes practice. So on the second line, we've got the subnets. So as you can see, the subnets are going the other way from the hosts. Now obviously the subnets cuts out the amount of hosts you can have, so that's why the subnets go up from the left to the right instead of the right to the left. Now with it being a class C address, which we're working on first, I am going to keep this here, whereas if it was a class B, more than likely this subnet range would have to start from over here. So I'll just show you. So it'd start from here, then it'd go up to 256, then 512 here, then so forth until it got to the end. But like I say, we're working with class C first, so I'll show you that first before we move on to the class B address. And last but not least, at the bottom we have binary. So we've got the 1 to 128 here, and then it starts again 1 to 128 for each octet. So from this IP address which I've got here as an example, we can tell all this information just from that, and the number we've been given, the number of subnets which are needed, which is 245. So we're going to go ahead and start with dissecting all this information, and I'll show you how we find out all this information here. So we'll start with this one. At first, default address class, we know that it's a class C. With the ranges. If you don't know the class A, class B, class C, class D ranges yet, you know, I suggest you do look them up and try and memorize them, and know where the ranges start and finish. So like I say, this is a class C. Excuse me. So we'll go ahead and we'll put C there. Now we know for a class C network, the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0, and what this means is basically, as you can, if you added all these binary numbers at the bottom here in each octet, they'd work out to 255 and 255. So that's just basically saying that they've been assigned to the them bits are being used by the subnet. So the next one then is the custom subnet mask. Now how we find that out is we need to work out how many bits are used once we find out the number of subnets that are needed. So like I say, we know that it's a class C now, so we need to work out, obviously with a class C we know that it starts with the 4th octet. So 45 subnets needed, so what we need to do is we need to go across here on the second line, and we get to there, because we can't use 32 subnets because it's still not enough, so 45. So the minimum amount of subnets that we're going to need is 64. So the custom subnet mask, how you find that out is you then refer back to the binary, and we've used that. In fact, we've used that, that, and that. That's what we've used to get that subnet mask. Imagine a line going down here which separates the left to the right. So we've used all that. So we know that the default subnet mask is 255.255 for the second octet, and the third octet, which is this 255. So now we've entered the 4th octet, which is where this 0 is. So now what we need to do is we need to add up these binary numbers here, and we should get 252. So that's what the custom subnet mask is going to be. So it'll be 255, 255, 255, 252. Now, moving on. Total number of subnets. We know now that we're going to need 64 in order to get the 45 subnets. So it's going to be 64 there. Like I say, guys, if this is a little bit confusing or a little bit daunting because it's your first time subnetting, you know, there is many different ways of learning subnetting. This is the easiest way that I found to subnet. So I mean, do let me know if it has been a little bit confusing, or comment, and if you want me to clarify things a little bit further. And like I say, if I do get enough interest in this video, I will look at doing another subnetting video with more explanation. So moving on, total number of host addresses. Okay, so we know that we're going to need 64 minimum subnet, which is here. So with that, we get a total number of hosts. If you go up, imagine, like I say again, imagine this line coming down here, separating the left from the right. We know that we need 64 minimum. So how many hosts do we get then? Well, if you imagine this line coming down here, A has now been blocked, so we can't use A. So the minimum host we're going to get is 4. Okay, so you go to the right of that. The subnets go to the left, the hosts go to the right. So like I said, just draw that line down there. Your subnets to the left, your host to the right. Okay, so we know that we get 4 hosts, so we get a total number of 4 hosts. Number of usable hosts. Now, like I said to you at the beginning, we don't get to use the full 256. So what we need to do is we need to take away 2. So if we take away 2, then we get only 2 usable hosts per subnet. Okay. Now, when we look at number of bits borrowed, we know that the default subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Okay, that 0 being the 4th octet. And now the 4th octet is now being used a little bit so that we can get the subnet. Okay, so the bits that have been borrowed then now going to this 4th octet. So all them bits that we've borrowed up to the 64 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've borrowed 6 bits. So you put that in there. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more tricky, where you need to start adding up and working things out. So now we're being asked what the 4th subnet number is, which is the first subnet of the 4th in the 4th range. So for us to find out that, what we need to do is we need to start with number 1. So we'll find out what number 1 is first. So we know that the hosts go up in 4, okay, but we only get 2 usable. So this is how we're going to do it. The 220.100.100.0 is in the first range, and that range is, we get 4 hosts, so it's going to be 220.100.100. Now we're not going to put 4 at the end. What we're going to do is we're going to put 3, because the 4th one starts the next range. Okay, and we've got 0 there, which is counted as 1. Okay, so the 3rd one is going to be the broadcast, the 0 is going to be the subnet number, and the assignable ranges will be 1 to 2. Okay, which obviously, like I said before, the number of usable hosts is 2. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put 3. So that's the first assignable. That's the first assignable range for this. So we'll then move on to number 2, which is 220.100.100. And like I say, we know that the other one, the second range, now begins with 4 to 220.100.100, and now we just add another 4, but we do it to the last number, so it'd be normally 8, but the 8 will go on to the next range. So it'll be up to 7. Okay. So go down again. And the 3rd one will be 220.100.100.8. Okay. So it's going up in 4s, like I say. 0, 4, 8. You can see the pattern forming already to 220.100.100. Sorry, I went blank there. 11, I believe it is. So the next range, which is the 4th, will be 220.100.100.12, and we add another 4, so 220.100.100, and it'll be 16, but we're going to do 15 because the 16 goes on to the 5th. Okay, so let's just go down to, so where have I gone here, 15. So now we're going to the 5th range, and like I say, you can see this pattern forming already. So that'll be 16. So you just again count up 4, so 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. But it'll be 19 because the 20 goes on to the 6th range. 220, 100, 100, 20, 100, 100, 23. And what we'll do, we'll just stop here a minute. So like I say, you can see the pattern forming already. So it's asking us what the fourth subnet number is. We now can tell that number, which is the start of that. So it's 220, 100, 112. That's the answer to that question there. So we'll go ahead and we'll put that in. 100, 112. So move that back over. Now the subnet range for the fifth is there we go. So we'll just copy that in there. So that's the range there. It's not asked us what the assignable range is, it's just asking what the range is overall. So we'll put that in there. So that's the answer for that. Now it's asking us what the 13th subnet broadcast is. Now we haven't got that far yet, so what we'll do, we'll just finish it off. Like I say, I'm just showing you the easiest way, or the easiest way that I've found to work it out. You know, there is other methods you might develop or try out which might come just as easy to you. Everybody's different, so do what works best for you. So we add another 3, sorry, because the fourth goes into the next one, so it's 27. So I'll just do this quickly. So it says 28 to 31. Okay, and it's 32. Hopefully you're getting the gist by now. At 35, and it's 36 to 37, 38, 39, 40. So it'll be 39. So the next range there will be 40 to 43, then 44 to 47, 48, where we gone here? 48 to 50, 51, 51. So we've got there 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's actually 13. So it's asking us there, what's the 13th subnet broadcast? So the broadcast address will be the 47. Oh wait, sorry, I'm on the wrong one there. The 13th is this last one. So the broadcast will be 51. So we'll put that in there because the broadcast is always the last one. So it's 220.100.100.51. Okay, so that's the 13th broadcast. And now it's asking us there, what's the assignable? The assignable being the key word there. Assignable addresses, for the 12th subnet. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's this one here. So the assignable won't be 44 to 47 because 44 is the subnet of that range, or the 0 subnet, and the broadcast of that range is 47. So the assignable will be 45 to 46, which is correct because we've got 2 assignable hosts per range. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put that in there. 220, 100, 100.45 to 46. I'll just put that like that for short. So that's the assignable range for that. So like I say, from just having the IP address and the amount of subnets needed, we've found out all this information here. And it works the same way for number of hosts instead of subnets. You just work out the hosts like we've just done with the subnets. And it's as simple as that really. All it takes is a little bit of practice and you will get there. Like I say, this video was short and I was going to do the class B, but that's enough information there, I believe, for one video, especially if you've just started learning subnetting. So what I'll do is I'll wait and see how much interest I get off this video, and if you want me to expand a little bit further on subnetting, I don't mind doing that to help others out. And I will touch on, like I say, a lot Class B's, Class A addresses, etc., and we'll go that a little bit further. But for now, I think I'll leave it there, and I look forward to getting some comments from those that have watched the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and hopefully you can take some information away from this video and try out this formula yourself, and hopefully it works for you. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching.